Russia and Ukraine accuse each other of hundreds of deaths of enemy troops in the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut in a day. Military spokesperson for Ukraine, Serhiy Cherevati, claimed hundreds of Russian soldiers died and were injured in Bakhmut. During the fighting, 221 enemies were killed and 314 injured to varying degrees, Cherevati told the National Parliament's television channel on Saturday. On the other hand, the Russian Ministry of Defense claims that 210 Ukrainian soldiers were killed in the Donetsk Oblast region, including Bakhmut. Russia did not specify the victims of Bakhmut city, only mentioned the whole area of Donetsk Oblast, quoted from WIO News. Russia's defense ministry says its troops are continuing military operations in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. In the Donetsk direction, more than 220 Ukrainian servicemen, infantry fighting vehicles, 3 armored fighting vehicles, 7 vehicles, as well as D-30 howitzers were destroyed during the day, the Russian Ministry of Defense said, quoted by The Telegraph. Both sides acknowledged suffering and significant losses at Bakhmut. The exact number of victims is difficult to independently verify. The Battle of Bakhmut City, the city of Bakhmut, was the scene of one of the bloodiest and longest fighting in the year-long Russia versus Ukraine war. On Saturday, British military intelligence says the Russian Wagner mercenary group has taken control of much of eastern Bakhmut. This progress was claimed by the group's founder Yevgeny Prigozhin on Wednesday. Over the past months, Russia has deployed large numbers of troops to Bakhmut. The Russian forces are being aided by mercenaries Wagner Group, who claim to have taken control of most of Bakhmut city. Meanwhile, Ukraine was quietly preparing for a counteroffensive. It is important to get time to accumulate reserves and start a counteroffensive, which is not far off, the Ukrainian military representative, Colonel General Alexander Syrsky, said on Saturday. Ukrainian troops never retreat from Bakhmut. Ukraine's foreign minister, Dmytro Kuleba, said Ukraine would continue to defend the town of Bakhmut. The city has been the focus of Russian attacks for the last 6 months. Thus, Bakhmut city became an important point for Ukraine's progress in this conflict. If we withdraw from Bakhmut, what will change? Russia will take Bakhmut and then continue its attack on Chasiv Yar, nearest town of Bakhmut, he said. Any town behind Bakhmut could suffer the same fate, he added. The city of Bakhmut is said to be a stepping stone for Russia to control all of Donetsk. Mastering Bakhmut city for Russia will be an important start in realizing the ambitions of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Da Vinci's actions, Ukraine's youngest hero, executed after singing "Glory of Ukraine," the Russian army celebrates killing one of Ukraine's most respected commanders. He is Dmytro Kotsubalo, who died in a struggle to defend the city of Bakhmut, eastern Ukraine on March 7, 2023. Even though Dmytro Kotsubalo is only 27 years old, he is already a hero of Ukraine and a neo-Nazi and fascist commander. The man known as Da Vinci began while active in the Euromaidan Revolution, also known as the Dignity Revolution, in 2013-2014, when Ukrainians took to the streets to overthrow then pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych. It was then, shortly after Russia invaded the Ukrainian Donbass and annexed the Crimean Peninsula, that Kotsubalo took up arms. He became known in Ukraine for his role and courage in the 7-year war against Moscow-backed separatists in the east. He was wounded by a Russian tank shell in combat in Donetsk Oblast that same year, but returned to the front after recovering just 3 months later. Eastern Ukraine is really her home, Melania Podolyak, a Ukrainian activist and project coordinator of the Serhiy Prytula Foundation, who knows Kotsubalo, told the Kyiv Independent. He said Kotsubalo had hardly left the front in the 9 years of Russia's ongoing war. The young soldier is part of the 1st Assault Company in the 5th Battalion of the Ukrainian Volunteer Corps, DUK, a military wing of the Right Sector, a Ukrainian nationalist movement. For many years, the DUK was an autonomous volunteer formation independent of the Ukrainian military, taking part in some of the heaviest fighting in eastern Ukraine. In 2016, Kotsubalo, then just 21 years old, became the commander of the 1st Assault Company, which had been operating under the name Wolves of Da Vinci. At that time, he was a year younger than me, but he had authority and always went to war himself. 28-year-old soldier Pavlo, who is called Belarusian, because of his origins, told the Kyiv Independent. He asked to remain anonymous, citing fears for the safety of his family, who still reside in dictator-ruled Belarus. After immigrating to Ukraine in 2017, Pavlo spent 2 months fighting the Da Vinci Wolves in the Donbass before joining the Azov regiment. Pavlo said that Kotsubelo only sent those who were ready to go to the front line. He never sent his soldiers to the battlefield alone while sitting. That's what made him highly respected by other soldiers, he said. What struck me was that every Da Vinci position was fully equipped for full-scale combat. There was every weapon imaginable, Pavlo said, comparing conditions with some of the Ukrainian army's official units which were in short supply at the time. Everyone who comes to Da Vinci is provided with everything they need to work comfortably, from bulletproof vests and helmets to personal hygiene products. Da Vinci always says you have to prepare for the worst. In December 2021, President Volodymyr Zelensky awarded Kotsubelo with the nation's highest award of the Gold Star Order, as well as the title Hero of Ukraine. Kotsubelo became the youngest commander to receive the title, as well as the first volunteer combatant in Ukrainian history to be awarded the title while alive. Da Vinci is considered to die honorably after being caught in a very brutal battle. According to The Independent, Dmytro Kotsubelo, 27, has long been a target for Russia. He is accused by Russia of having neo-Nazi and fascist ties. Respected opponents, one of the websites supporting the Kremlin, announced Kotsubelo's death. They wrote, "A high-ranking Ukrainian nationalist has been liquidated. We are talking about Dmytro Kotsubelo with the nickname Da Vinci, a staunch supporter and one of the leaders of the right sector, banned in Russia and recognized as a terrorist organization." The Pravi sector is one of the most high-profile and controversial armed groups to emerge from the clashes of the Maidan protests, which toppled the government of pro-Moscow Ukraine President Viktor Yanukovych in 2014. The group later played an important role in the conflict that followed against separatists in the east. During the first 6 months of the fighting that followed, Pravi sector was one of the top 3 most mentioned groups in the Russian media, and the organization was banned in Moscow. News of Kotsubelo's death came after another Ukrainian soldier, Timofey Mykolaiovich Shadora, was killed in Bakhmut. The video of his death has been circulating on social media. He was allegedly shot by Russian troops after he said, "Glory to Ukraine." The Ukrainian government says it will not back down from Bakhmut. The city has been besieged by Russian forces led by Wagner's mercenary group. Bakhmut was almost completely destroyed, although Western military analysts downplay the city's significance. TASS, The Independent.